We had quite a week at Unity last week. Oh, Laura Lynn, the music was out of sight on Friday night. You and Justin could never have been better. And our guest, oh, she was so wonderful. And we've had a workshop this week. The songwriters met this week. We were very active. As a matter of fact, it's Linda Strickland here today. Linda and I were thinking about moving in, but we didn't do that. But anyway, but we prepare for this holiday season, and this is really one of my favorite holidays of all, the holiday of Thanksgiving, and where families and friends just come together, and so we look forward to this today. Let us just greet each other now.
I know everybody knows this song, so let's all sing it together. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Spirit gave it to me, I'm gonna let it shine. Spirit gave it to me, I'm gonna let it shine. Spirit gave it to me, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Whoa! Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, oh let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Ooh, thanks for all the help.
Okay, I'm Pat Walzer. I'm your prayer chaplain for today, and it's really going to be a blessed service. It's very much focused on our congregation and prayer. If you haven't already put a prayer in the box and you'd like to speak to me privately or give me a name of either yourself or someone that you hold dear for this holiday, please see me after the service. I'll be in the back chapel. We already lit our Christ candle because we have other candles we're going to be lighting this morning. So this is where we have already started our spark. We've already had our pray in this morning, and our illumination is already radiating on the smiles and the faces that are here in the pews this morning. Our daily word for today is very appropriate. It's we are one. In oneness we live in love. In oneness we live in love. And the scripture is from John, who of course was the beloved disciple. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love one for another. So let's take a moment now to get our energy down to where we can enter that secret, private, beautiful, sacred space. We turn our thinking to this time of giving thanks. As we sit at our tables with our families and friends, we give thanks for love received, wisdom gained, and abundance shared. We open our hearts and minds to those who will be giving us inspiration through their joys and their struggles and their growth as they share this morning with us. We appreciate all the family and friends that will join us at our home table to celebrate. We include the names of those who are traveling on the holiday, either away from home or coming to join you in your home. Hold those that are in the prayer box in loving thought. Hold those who are recovering from the fires and the hurricanes that have devastated their homes and may not have a place to celebrate this holiday. When we ask what we might do as being only one, we may be celebrating by ourselves. We have the ability to give encouragement to others, to share our compassion, to give gratitude, to celebrate in any manner that we might see. So let us take a moment in the silence to just think on this statement today. We are one. We are one. And I invite you today to join in the celebration of Thanksgiving in whatever manner you may, and give gratitude to the divine source that gives us the wisdom, the love, and the power, and the joy that we have in the days to come. And we know that it is so. Amen. And now if you would join me in our statement of being, I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with His perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And so it is. You're going to have to speak.
I think, now we have me. Thank you. Many years ago, as I was preparing to do the Thanksgiving service in Omaha, Nebraska, I was praying for guidance. And I wanted something different than the usual, "Oh, come, you thankful people," you know that song? I wanted something more, something that would resonate with each of us in a more heart-to-heart way. Love those old hymns, find myself singing some of them quite frequently. But what came was, you are the treasure, you who sat in the audience. And as we've talked about before, James Della Freeman reminded us that we are all ministers. And so I started inviting people when I was invited to do this service, and inviting people to participate. So I picked young and old, new, and stakeholders. So those who are coming up today weren't chosen because of any unique message they had, but because they represent across the congregation who we really are. And some of you participated before. Grayson, yes, participated in the first one, yes. I think Sandy did. And then as I put the word out and invited people to respond, I discovered that James is doing this same service in Dallas today. So I bet we outshine him. What do you think? I've thought of something that I'd forgotten for years on the way here this morning about. a little guy about 8 years old or so was homesick, had the sniffles. Mother had a garden club meeting to go to. So all she could do was take him with her. And so she said, now you have to behave and be quiet. This is a ladies group, and they talk about lady things. Okay. So he was on his best behavior. But through that whole conversation, that whole meeting, there were petty conversation and, little this and that and aches and pains and all of that. And so on the way home, the little boy said to his mother, said, Mama, the next time we go to one of those meetings, could we go to a happy talk meeting? Well, that's what unity is. Happy talk, but it's also authentic talk. And so today, as our volunteers, a little bit of arm twisting, come up to share, they've been guided no more than about 4 minutes max. But I thought about that, and I'm just going to say, I'm okay with people going over. Now, if you're not, you can just give them this, all right? But I always learn from these services. It's amazing what we learn about people we didn't know before. I laughed at Lorraine this morning when she said, when I agreed to do this, it's made me review my whole life. And that brought up something for me, Lorraine. I sat here Sunday after Sunday. I don't want to be on camera. I love this mural. I love these walls. I love this church. I love what happened here. But what you may not realize is the color of these walls is the color of relationships. I'm sorry, the color, harmony and faith. This color back here is the color of relationships. We rarely think about what these colors mean, but the colors of the rainbow are what I picked for these because we really don't have time to do the 12 powers totally. But the 12 powers ideas behind those 12 powers ties into this. And so we have no clue. We don't monitor or ask other than to give guidance what anybody's going to share. But it's like Pam lost her mother this week. Pam's color was orange. That's love of life and youth. How ironic that she wound up with orange. And I said, Pam, are you okay with this? She said, I am. But that's the kind of spirit that really permeates this audience. Yellow is enlightenment. It's wisdom. It's light. Who better than Laura Denley to do the candle of yellow of light? What happens is, even though the Christ candle is in the middle, it's there because it has its place of honor. But what I learned years ago when a group of ladies that I was part of from Madison Heights Methodist Church in Memphis, Tennessee, were invited to go to AT&T offices and to tour the phone company. That was when television hadn't been in very long. So we were touring this magnificent building. We walked into this bank of TV screens up high, and then a second one, and then a third one. I've never seen so many TV screens in one place in my life, not even in a store. So as they were talking about how television is streamed in through phone lines, and the man made an enormous, from me, comment. He said, all colors are in white light. We have to bring it in white, and then we differentiate it out to the colors that it is. How interesting. And I've always cherished that information after I eventually found unity. And so it is just great that we are having this service today with these colors because we're all colors of the rainbow. And so with that, I want to invite Laura to come up and share her story with the yellow candle. And you light from, but we want to light it first. I'll hold it for you.
It'll be even prettier that way.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, little sweetheart. Not to embarrass her. Yeah. So my color is actually yellow, so I realize this kind of, you may not be able to see that it says, let the light shine. The shine is the yellow. Not to mention, obviously, the flame. Yeah. And I love that we got to choose our colors, because mine is for enlightenment and education. What more enlightening than joy? The joy of children, the laughter of children. Yeah. No, she's not stealing it, she's doing it. She is it. Yeah. Look at the light in their skirts, their little tutus, the sparkle. With the pink and the gold. Oh. Children and animals. They're delighting in the dog. PJ, right? Yeah, PJ. Precious PJ.
Just to play safe.
I think it was a September that I wandered into Unity. And I had been at a yoga class. And I had been aware that sound was healing. I was just awakening to that idea again. And there was someone there that was doing the crystal singing bowls. And I could feel the truth of that as that wave of sound came through me. And I felt the presence of oneness, of source. Where I came from, what I am, what I'm always becoming, what I'm returning to, what I'm opening as. And afterwards, and I still to this day, I'm not sure of her name. She was a part of this community. Not Mary Allison, Amanda, Amethyst. Yeah. And she was invited to do the crystal bowls at the end of our yoga sessions. And I had a conversation with her afterwards, and she mentioned that there was a oneness blessing at the Unity Church in Little Rock. I think I was either still living in Hot Springs. Oh, you wanted to do whatever you were doing, and it got interrupted. Yeah. And I was either still in Hot Springs and commuting, or I may have just moved here. But I was reading a book, and the title was Oneness. I do not remember the author. But when I heard that there was a oneness blessing somewhere in Little Rock, I was like, oh, yes, in Little Rock. And like I said, I was either, I don't know why, I'm not sure if I was still in Hot Springs and nervous about my move to Little Rock, because I was really connected to a spiritual community there, a little bit different than what I grew up with. But I came, it was a Tuesday night, and that brought me in. And I felt myself to be in the presence of oneness, in the truth of oneness, and so I decided to come back that Sunday. I brought a friend with me. I just realized as I was thinking about this morning, Dustin Ashley Beam came with me. If you were here for the Sounds of Unity last month, it's a songwriter showcase I host every month on the third Friday. He was our feature, and he's a dear friend of mine from the Weekend Theater. We've done musical theater together, and he is a gay man. And we came together on Sunday, neither one of us knowing what to expect. And I was hungry to be in community again, a spiritual community. But I'd grown up in a conservative church, and though it was such a blessing in my youth, I certainly felt the presence of God, because God is everywhere. It's true where two or more are gathered, and I felt the truth of that. But as I grew up, I started hearing that I wasn't doing it right. I was given a Christian voter's guide, and I wanted to vote for the other guy, and he wasn't in there. And that's what my soul and my spirit told me was right for me. That's what my conscience was telling me, and that was my first kind of... I was in my master's in social work program, and I was working with hospice patients and their families, and someone in the choir one Wednesday night said, so you know it's your job to save them before they die, to convert them. And something in me thought, I don't think so. But I've never disagreed with anyone in my church. What do I do with this? And my greatest pain in life is separation. When I feel separate from somebody else. Whether I'm doing music, believe it or not, I was sharing, if I may say with Brain this morning, it may not look like it, but even this is out of my comfort zone for me. I do it so often it may not appear to be, but when I'm in the spotlight or when I'm up on a stage, I feel a little bit separate. And when I'm sharing my music, I want to share from my heart. And so I was realizing that the church I grew up in, I just didn't feel like I could be honest or open or speak what I was questioning. And so when I heard there was a oneness blessing here, it was like, I got to go check that out. And like I said, my friend Dustin and I came, and she goes by Luna Grace now. She was speaking because James was away with his mother. And it was on WWJD, What Would Jesus Do? And at that moment, we looked at each other and went, yeah, is this the place for us? And we both, he didn't tell me until afterwards, we both stopped, and inside, we decided to just listen and stay open and see what it was about. And it was a metaphysical interpretation of that. And given by Luna Grace, who had a sleeveless top on, and she had those tattoo sleeves. And I was like, yeah, isn't that beautiful? What a beautiful expression of art. And in my church I grew up in, that would have been like, yeah, what's she doing? So,
Thank you.
yes. And so that was important. The other piece of this it was on education. So it was about enlightenment and education. And one of the greatest gifts I got when I came, and I don't remember how long I'd been here, is I was in a class. Yeah, and the book is Heart-Centered Metaphysics, a deeper look at unity teachings by Paul Hasselbeck. And it was perfect because that concept of oneness that I knew to be true, but only had about 5 people in my life I could speak to that didn't look at me like I was a freak or I was crazy or it was like, I've come home. So coming home, that first Sunday, something was different about you all. It was the hugs. It wasn't just oh, how you doing? Nice to see you, or that sideways hug. It was an embrace. I felt again a coming home. It was like heart to heart. I'm in it. I could feel love in your looks, your hugs, your smiles, or not. Not everyone expresses God with a smile. I knew I was home. One last thing I want to share about enlightenment. That's a goofy one. The reason I'm still here
Okay.
is because I work with sacred stones. And I was gifted something by a Mayan elder I study with. And I took it in the sun and then the water, and it shattered inside. And I thought I'd done something wrong. And this week when the sun came out again, I sat in the light and I saw the brightest part of that whole crystal was at the breaking. And that's something I'm looking forward to exploring more here amongst you.
Okay. See, I told you it would be a blessing already. Pam? She's doing double duty back here.
Okay.
We're thrilled to see Tyrone and these babies, all three of them.
Yeah, I'm used to being behind the camera, behind the music machine, but see, I didn't even know to do that. When she first asked me to do this, I didn't really know what I was gonna do, or, I just lost my mom, so I was like, love of life, not feeling it right now. But I know, it's gonna be okay, because that's what everybody who hugged me said, it's gonna be okay. And so I started thinking, about almost 5 years ago, actually, yeah, about 5 years ago, I was in a little apartment in Hillcrest, and I was going from job to job because I kept getting sick and they didn't know what it was. And then finally when I got my disability, I didn't have to work, but that wasn't the best thing for me at that time, because I realized it was very easy for me to go to a dark place, because I was surrounded by people that weren't good for me in my life. And one day I was at a yard sale and I looked down and it said, Louise Hay, you can heal your life. And I was like, what? Come on. So I picked that up and I started reading it, and I think I read it like 2 days. Like, I just could not stop. Here was this lady on the other side of everything saying, if I can make it through what I've made it through and see the positive side, then you can too. And she said she really started her life at about 45 years old, which I was a few years ago, but that she just started taking classes and finding her inner child and finding the good of everything. And so I got these affirmation cards for my birthday right after that, and I started doing the affirmations, and I started carrying some in my purse, putting them everywhere in the house so I'd pick them up and read them and look at them. And one day, it was actually a cold and rainy day, I looked down and it said, surround yourself with wonderful people and you'll be where you need to be. And so I was like, okay, so I said it all week, and then it wasn't like 2 weeks later, found out I can go to college for free, and I was going to be able to take what I wanted to take, and they were going to pay for it all. I said, are you kidding me? And so that started, and then things just started rolling so well, and I went from, when I first got into college, I wanted to quit the first day. I even threw my backpack across the room. I was like, I can't do this. There's no way. I am 45 years old. No, I was 42. I was like, I'm 42 years old. I don't know if I can do this, having PTSD. And so I took classes at the VA, but I was learning more by listening to Louise Hay than I was getting from anywhere else. I was getting what I needed, and then, of course, that became one of the affirmations. I will, you say it long enough, so at first it doesn't seem like it's real. And so I went on, and I graduated in 2015, and I still couldn't believe it. But right before I graduated, I had that cardigan, and I kept walking around. I worked for school, so I was like walking around. I was like, surround me with wonderful people. And my friend told me that there was this group that was forming, and it was a singles group. I was like, no. And she's like, it's not online dating. I'm like, yeah, but I go, I'm not interested. And she goes, well, just give it a try. I was like, okay. So I called my friend Beth. I said, Beth, would you like to go to this group? Sure, let's go. So we went that night, and if we would have known what was going to happen after that night, 3 years later, she has a baby, she's married, and all on but these people, when I first met them, we were all like, we were there for the same, we've been wounded, we've been hurt by love, but here's all these like-minded people ready to give it another chance. So like the first group of people, there's like 60 of us. And we started going to events, and then we went on a cruise together. And it was so amazing. And I was looking out on the ocean, I said, I'm loving this life. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm looking out the ocean. And that's all I have to do today is just look out the ocean. And I was just so grateful. And all those people are still in my life. And right after that, everybody started bettering their lives. There was people that went on, started working out together. People that, supported, like whenever anything happened, everybody was there, and for a big group of women like this and men and no fights, come on. That just doesn't happen. But everybody loved and supported each other. And as we got settled into our new group, I found the card again.
Right.
And I said, surround myself with wonderful people.
Right.
Then I went on Facebook. Up comes, I saw something about Unity. I was like, that's that place. I've been thinking about that place. And I was like, okay, I'll go. So that was in July. It was like middle of July. It was like 100 degrees that day. So I started walking from Cantrell. I was going to walk all the way down Reservoir Road. I was going to walk to this church. My God. I made it all the way to Reservoir Road, and I had to turn around because it was so hot. Then I was like, well, you know what? I'm just going to ask for a ride. I got to get to this place, so why not ask for a ride? And then Jamie gave me a ride. First thing I come in, I get hugs, and then I don't even have the door, not even slightly open, when Scott comes in and goes, man, we need somebody that knows something about music. And at that point, up until then, I really haven't got to work in my field. So, I was like, me, I just graduated. I was so excited. I was like, I didn't even make it to the pew. I was behind the thing my very first day. And since I've been coming here, so many things have changed for the good because of being able to do the action instead of, like I always said, man, I love the van. I would love, I'd donate and stuff like that. And I loved Our House because my friend had graduated and did so good for Our House and her family. And I just always wanted to give back to that place. Then I come here and I find out, who do we support? Our House and the van. And one of the first things I thought of, I was like, me and my friend collected a bunch of socks a few years ago, and it was like 50 pairs of socks and stuff. I was just so excited. And then I told her, and she goes, Socktober. And we end up, there was probably at least 500 pairs of socks for kids. And I was like, when we went to I could hardly handle it. It was like, are you kidding me? Putting it all in here, and just from a simple conversation. And then I felt when I got home, I got my action, I got my surroundings, I'm surrounded by the people that I'm supposed to be. That's why I'm glad.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. And our next one is Bill Bennett. We see him up on stage a lot, but we never hear a whole lot from him, so this is going to be interesting. Yeah. And Bill is doing the Cantle Red. That's love, just out and out love on all levels. So we're going to hear how Bill's been educated.
You said it was love. You told me it was life in the email.
Yeah.
So I prepared to talk about life. And my personal motto that I came up with, I guess it was about a year ago. I was rewriting the song that I had written.
You raise it up a little bit.
That I had written when I was in a Unitarian church. I was rewriting it from a unity standpoint. And at the very end of the song, I summarized what is my personal attitude to a good life. And it is that you should live and love and laugh and learn and find joy in every day. And my journey towards arriving at this philosophy really was influenced very heavily by an event that happened to me some 40 years ago. So I'm going to go back 40 years. It was November 24th of 1978. My first son, Bill Jr., was diagnosed with acute lymphocytic leukemia at Granville C. Morton Cancer Hospital in Dallas, Texas. And he was in and out of the hospital over the next 5 years. He passed away on February the 29th of 1984. Now, when you go through an experience like that, it changes you. Some people, it changes for the worse. I've seen that. Some people, it changes for the better. And I believe that it changed me for the better. And I have been thinking about that. The first thing about it that really, when you go through an experience like that, the people that you encounter day to day, over the years that you go through it, they all are treating you kindly. They are all treating you with love. You cannot emerge from that, or I could not emerge from that without a profound awareness of the basic goodness that people have. People sometimes don't behave in the best ways, but what I see, and what I saw, and what I continue to see, is that when people behave in ways that aren't loving and compassionate, it's generally because they're afraid of something. They're afraid they'll get cheated. They're afraid somebody will take advantage of them. But when you're in that situation, that all falls away. And they are their true selves.
Yeah.
And that was a remarkable experience. I was, at the time, I should say I was 28 when this happened, and I was, I guess 32 at the end of this experience.
Okay.
It changed a lot about my life. I mean, within a couple of years after my son passed away, my first wife and I got divorced. We went our separate ways. There are a couple of experiences that I had during those 5 years that I'd like to share that really helped bring these things into focus for me. And one of them occurred very early in the experience. We were talking with the chaplain there at the Morton Hospital. I can't remember her name, and I don't know her denomination. But she was talking to us about expressing feelings, how we really felt, and how important that was. And I wasn't having any of it. I was just a young man, and young men don't care about talking about their feelings. And they really don't. And she said, one of the feelings that you have is probably anger, because you have a right to be angry. And she said, you need to be careful where you target that anger. And I didn't say much, but later I talked to myself about it, And I thought, well, what is this? I mean, she told us that you should try and be angry at the situation. Just don't be angry. Don't try to be angry at God. Don't try to be angry at yourself. Don't try to be angry at anything. The only legitimate place to direct your anger is the situation. And I thought, the situation? I mean, how can you direct anger at a situation? Can you get a baseball bat and go beat the situation up and just don't come back? That's what.
Take a deep breath.
All right, that's what she was talking about. Because I felt better. Because I'd expressed my anger. I had directed appropriately. But part of that was I wasn't used to ministers who talked like that. I was used to, preachers who would come and tell you what you should do and tell you that this was going to be all right. You would get your reward later on in another place. And you would be so happy in this heaven where you sit around and sing the praises of God all the time. Didn't sound good to me. It doesn't today. But this was.
Can we finish pretty quick?
We can finish pretty quick.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, this was the first inclination I had of that religion could be helpful. And I would like to tell this one more, and so I'll try to be quick. There was one time later when it was close to the end, and I was driving down to the hospital, and I was worried. I was scared. I didn't know what was happening. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to cope with what was happening. And again, I talked to myself. And what I wound up telling myself was, you should be worrying because there's going to be things you have to cope with tomorrow. But you can cope with them tomorrow. You don't have to cope with everything today. And then, from somewhere, I said to myself, and you remember the story that you learned in Sunday school about the lilies of the field and the birds of the air? That's what he meant. That's what that's about. And that brought about this realization that religion isn't about, people telling you how you should behave. It's it's practical. It helps you live. It helps you cope with things. And the main thing that I learned about life going through this experience is life should be lived. Doesn't matter how much of it you have left. If you have one day left, you can choose. You have to choose whether you want to spend the rest of your time that you have in life, if you want to spend it living or you want to spend it dying. So you should choose.
Good. Great. Thank you. Wow.
You didn't realize all the feelings
Awesome.
you were generating by asking us to speak and bring up all this
Yeah.
stuff. It's hard to do it in 3 to 5 minutes.
Debbie? Thank you. All three have just been fabulous, really. I knew it would with this crowd, though. And we're looking at 11:20, so we're running out of time.
Hi, everybody. I had to write mine down. Okay. I came to Unity soon after 2 big losses in my life.
Yeah, there you go.
I came to Unity after 2 big losses in my life, my husband and my dad, within a year. After that, I began a journey to find out who I was without them. I began to realize I didn't know who Deborah was. Changes began by finding the open-hearted people here. The people here are very understanding, very open. And then I began to really learn and feel the blessings of the teachings that Unity has. The awareness of the 12 powers, the daily word, divine daily word, became a wisdom to me for possibilities, for changes to happen. The oneness blessing was a new way to share love to and for others, which I have enjoyed for years.
NBC helped me to express things that I never could express, and to do it without blaming. The speakers here has always offered me some piece of the love and light from Spirit that has helped me to be more of who I came here to be. As we greet each other with the hugs, they lift me to a higher, peaceful knowing that we are divine power to give and receive love and light by our presence and touch. I have found that the divine in me helps me choose how I live, how I can respond and not react to the things that come my way. The light in me can shine even when there are dark clouds, and surprisingly, it shines even brighter when they move away. I am so very grateful to have found unity and a loving community. Thankful for the peace and harmony that is now in my life. Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. I know that was hard. Thank you, Darla. And we have Lorraine doing faith and relationships and all kinds of opportunities here. There you go.
I have given this a lot of thought this week as to what to say. This is about relationships and faith, and I thought relationship with myself is the one that is probably the most important and the most revealing right now. I was trying to think of defining moments in my life. They all were defining.
Yeah.
Every one of them pushed me forward into new growth. But this morning I realized there was a couple that really stood out in my life. The first one was in the first grade when the teacher asked me to stand up and read in front of the class. I didn't know I could read. And that opened up a whole new world to me. I opened up that book, and after listening to phonics and sounding out words, I could read. So that has been a very defining moment in my life. It's led to new worlds, new studies. The other defining thing in my life was the gift of a paint by number set. And that led to this. All in all, the most important relationship in my life has been to myself, for myself, loving myself, and expanding myself.
Yes.
And so it is. Thank you.
And green is Dear Pat. It's healing and it's prosperity. Either don't which she's going to choose. And maybe both.
I think I'm already wired.
Your microphone. You got one on?
I got this one on.
Oh, good.
my special. Anyway, this originally, the green, was for education and prosperity, and Robert Love was going to give this morning to share with you. Robert is recovering, and he's so anxious to get back. He's still wearing a mask because of his influenza, and he doesn't want to infect anyone until he knows that he's well. So, but his hand is healing. He's anxious to come back and play. So anyway, I'm picking up for Robert, and I had to think back on some of the stories in my life, and there's been a few. The first one I'll share on prosperity was many years ago. I was in California. As you know, I'm born and raised in Unity from the time I could, like these little ones. But basically, I had been in one of those loving middle-class environments where my parents took care of me, and then I got married and my husband took care of me, and I had 2 loving children, and all of a sudden, I didn't have any of that anymore. So I had, like you said, have to find out who you are. Who am I? I'd always been a reflection of what someone else saw me to be. At the time, I was going to a small church in Whittier. Small story on that. The minister and his wife were young people to me that I had watched grow up as teenagers and playing volleyball in the parking lot of our church. And he was now the minister. His parents were Joseph and Mary. His name was Charlie, and for those of you that are old enough to know, he looked like the Kilroy Kid with the big ears hanging over the fence. That was Charlie. And his wife's name, by birth, was Rebel. This was the church I was in. Loved him dearly. He was giving a class on prosperity, because education always goes with unity, and you'll find that unity has always evolved and grows and adapts. If you go into some of the old texts of unity, they don't really pertain anymore, but our main theme has always been the Christ within and your individual growth and prayer. So if you keep that context, you will always know that that's what comes to be. I would sit down to pay my bills, because I had gone from 2 incomes to 1, had a son at home who was a difficult one. I had to put my house up once on a note to keep him from further problems. But anyway, I would sit down and I would start writing my checks. That was before we had debit cards. We had to write checks for all our bills. And on the little signature line for whatever it was for, I would always write TYG, thank you God. Now I would probably say thank you source, but at that time it was thank you God. Because when I took my income and I put it down on a piece of paper, and I was doing a bookkeeping job at the time, my income never caught up to what my outflow was. So I always looked like I would be $300 to $400 a month short. So being a single mom, that's not a real good thrill, as some of you know. And so I would just keep on going. God's source, you know, it's coming from I don't know where. And sure enough, it would. I never missed a payment. I never missed a bill. I always had the funds that I needed when I needed them. So that got me into tithing. Because that was a big step for me. I was a big elephant that I had to swallow. And I would look at my income and I thought, well, you know, I have to take care of this kid. And so I started with 1%. And even that sometimes was difficult. But I promised myself I would increase it. It's like when you get a savings account and you start with so much, and then the next year, maybe you get a raise, and so you put maybe another $5 in the savings, or whatever it is. And that was the way I increased my tithing, was a little bit at a time, in small increments, because I was challenged by my minister, Charlie, with you gotta prove it. You gotta use unity to prove it. It's a practical religion. That's what we were called, practical Christianity, which is what I loved about the name.
Yeah.
It's an everyday I can take it home and work with it. So that was how I got started on the giving and receiving. And as I give out, I receive more back. And church is very much my home, very much my family. But I know all of us and so many give to others, charity, to St. Jude's, to Heifer Project, to Children's House. Wherever you give, you are blessing them. Not only with the physical gift that you give, but with the prayer that you send with it. So that's my story on prosperity. Education goes on forever.
There are many, many, many unity stories like that where people tithe when it didn't look like it was, absolutely didn't look like it was possible. Our last presenter today is Jean McGee, and Judy Robinson was going to do this, and something came up in her family, and so at the last minute, Jean agreed, and we knew she could do it. Let's give her a round of applause for being on the move.
You will need the money.
Keeper of the flame.
Yeah, we'll need that. So this is going to be very quick. Actually, also, Indy had stepped in when Judy couldn't do it, and this is a beautiful piece of art that Indy taught us how to do, and brought out the creativity in us, and that was quite a gift. So this is Spiritual Awakening. Oh my gosh, I've been at Unity since like 2001. I've always been with Pat, and Pat's watched my growth and deepening and awakening. But these last 3 or 4 years, I've really gone quite deep as we've brought on the C classes, and I've worked with Paul Hasselbeck. And Unity is a simple message. It's 5 principles, you guys, but it's a lifetime of depth as you get into your prayer life and meditation. It's unbelievable. So instead of my giving you my story, my wish is for all of us to go on this journey together and to deepen and to continue our work. And you're going to see some things come forward on prayer and other programs. And I'm just so honored to be here with you all as we are all in a spiritual awakening. Thank you.
Now, as we turn to this time of gratitude and Thanksgiving for today, we're going to light this Christ candle. See if I can figure out. As well. Gratitude can transform common days into thanksgiving, turn routine jobs into joy, and change ordinary opportunities into blessings. That is a really key statement. I was in a very miserable job. It was not my kind of work. It was manufacturing for GE. And that's how I survived it. We were building a house at the time, was to really, really turn to, no matter what, turn to joy, find something. Find a way to bless it. Heaven's first law is order, but heaven's second law is gratitude. And I hear you as I've listened to your stories. You're practicing gratitude. Great. That's my inner response is, yay, God, because that's what it's all about. So I'm not sure what the program says, but in the interest of time, I'm thinking we're about ready for offering time. Is that right? Okay. We got a song first?
Well, let's skip it. That's okay.
Okay. Okay.
I'm just going to play the early offering. So we
Okay. Let's participate in the interest of time here. I can't see that clock that well. 20 to 12? All right. some of you are meeting people for lunch, so let's take our gifts in our hands. And if you're like some of us and you give electronically, just put your hands together and visualize that gift in your hands. And let's affirm our offertory statement together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
If I was created by a supernatural being, I am grateful. I am grateful. If I'm a result of some big bangy thing, I am grateful. I am grateful. Truth, when it comes down to it, it's not the why or how of it, it's just what is, and this is it, and I am grateful. I'm grateful for the air I breathe, for all the things that I receive, and I'm grateful for the acts of kindness others have afforded me. I am grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Okay, who's doing?
Yeah, you go ahead, and then I'm gonna.
So this year we are again going to be adopting our house, but we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to do what they call a holiday drive, and they have assigned us to collect new twin-size bedding, sheets, blankets, comforters, pillowcases, and slippers. She called them house shoes. I'm from Michigan. I'm not familiar with that term, but I thought I want to put slippers in for those of us that think of slippers for men and women, all sizes. If you could have it here by December 9th, that's a Sunday, and then I'll be happy to take it to our house. If those of you who don't care to do shopping and would like me to do your shopping, just let me know. I'm happy to do that as well. Next Sunday, our guest speaker will be Chris Johnson. I don't know, would you like to say anything? That's it for now.
I just real quickly wanted to tell you all that the board met yesterday, and we are really working on trying to get who's doing what. You know, what's the flow chart of people responsible for things, and we really need to work on the usher greeter team, and we want you to know that if we get a lot of people on that team, you can have fun rotating and taking your Sunday to give hugs and greetings to people as they come in the door. And anyone who takes charge of that, you don't have to be here every Sunday. We just need someone to help organize, you know, who's gonna be the greeter on what day. So that is definitely a need, because we wanna relieve, Linda. Oh, is that right? Okay. I mean, it's just take one Sunday and you'll really contribute quite a bit. We're planning for the holidays. We're going to do Advent every Sunday, and starting in December. The prayer chaplains are going to be rolling forth a little bit of new things, and so stay tuned to that. And then we invite you to talk to board members. Our next official board meeting's in January, but we are here for you guys all through the holidays, and so please contact us if you have any needs. Was there anything else important that someone wanted to say about the board meeting yesterday? That I think we're not going to do a Christmas Eve service. We're going to do a special Sunday before Christmas, so that'll be nice. And all right.
I want to recognize all the group and bring the group up and bless them.
Oh, Grayson. No. I don't think so this year. Okay.
Potluck next Sunday. We are going to have potluck.
Yes, always on the last Sunday of the month. So That'll be after Thanksgiving. Bring your leftovers. No, isn't that right? Yeah, it is next Sunday. That's the last Sunday of November. So, yes. Also, be watching in the newsletter. The prayer team's starting to give you some prayer tasks. And Jeannie Bailey really inspired me, the Warriors of Wholeness. I loved it. It was wonderful. And if we think that way, you see, that's such a positive, strong stance. And so stay tuned for more. And you wanted to say something, Corinne?
I would want to invite all of the participants up for us to bless them up front.
Oh, yes. Are you all?
In front of the table, I'm going to get back here where I can applaud big. Let's give them our blessing and say, we love you, we bless you, and we truly appreciate you. And so it is. Yay, God. And just stay put. Just stay put for the peace song.
Let's get together.
Yeah.
There's a set of keys that I found on the pew up here. I don't know who they belong to, but all right. So, and then there's been this pair of glasses that was left behind up front several weeks ago. They're brown. Is anybody missing a pair of glasses? No. Hey, we need a lost and found.
So the prayer of protection together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love. The power of God protects us. I am the power. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it be good.